Hi, this is Shakti Kali Kaloksi with my podcast, Beautiful You, the show where I get to share all my favourite people with insights and teachings on natural health, detox, women's empowerment and sacred sexuality, fitness, spirituality and more. I stand for truth, passion, freedom, transparency, heart, sovereignty and creativity, and I seek guests who resonate at the same level. The beautiful in me recognises the beautiful in you. Hello everybody, today is episode 3 of Beautiful You, and today I have the lovely Dani Jackson, and she's going to be talking about menopause. So I would just like to share with you how I came across Dani. I came across you, Dani, I don't know if you remember, but I was staying with Michelle up north in South Shields, and she took me to a fitness class. And there was this amazing, beautiful blonde woman who had her own fitness studio, and you taught a class, and I was there huffing and puffing.
I don't remember.
It's quite a few years ago now. I was up visiting my son and daughter-in-law, and then I found you on Facebook, and I didn't realise that, I think it was Michelle said, that's Dani whose class you went to. And I put the two and two together. And I've followed you over the years because I know that you've written a few books. And I'd really like to just sort of spontaneously talk about menopause. I don't have any particular questions because it's probably the only thing or the only interview I've ever done where I've got very little to say on menopause because I didn't go through it at 43. I had no symptoms.
Yeah.
So I've never related, but I know that so many of my clients have had, some of them have had 10 years of hot flushes.
Yeah.
So, Dani, would you like to just share a little bit about, you know, who you are, what you do, and then we'll just dive in?
Right. So I'm a holistic nutritionist and I specialize in gut health is my thing. Like I'm so passionate about gut health. And the books that I
gut health. Sorry, I love your accent. Gut health.
Gut health. Yeah, so I specialize in the gut. And that's what my books are based on. So I have 3 books that I've written, and it's all around the gut and how to repair and heal the gut. And then I've gone into women's health and hormones and how to reverse symptoms of things like PMS symptoms, PMDD, endometriosis. And now, of course, we've got premenopause and menopause as well. So I'm dealing with a lot of women clients who are going through this and how to reverse their symptoms naturally via the gut, via food, supplementation. And then, of course, I teach yoga as well, coming into the mindfulness side of it, stress management. I do Pilates teaching. And I'm also writing a hormone course at this moment.
Brilliant.
So everything's pretty full on. There's lots always happening with me.
You've been hard to get hold of.
Yeah, I'm always busy.
Yeah, but you know, I wanted to connect with people that are sort of, you know, within my community because there's so many amazing people out there sharing so much goodness. And let me ask you this. I think the first thing that comes to mind with menopause, because I kind of like to focus today on menopause. And a friend of mine phoned me up the other week and she said she was all excited and she doesn't take any medication. She didn't have the jab. She doesn't do, you know, she doesn't do medicine. And she was so excited. She had just started taking HRT.
Mm-hmm.
And she couldn't believe how her depression and how her mood literally shifted overnight. And I sat with that and I thought, wow, that's amazing, because I know the planet is crazy and there's a lot of crazy stuff going on at the moment. But I sat with it and I've been like this, like really like this over the last probably 6 months or so, with so much going on and a flood in my home and all sorts of things to stress me out. But I thought, even if it could do that, the same with antidepressants. Personally, and I haven't had a menopause, so I can't say it, but I think I would choose not to take HRT. What are your thoughts on HRT?
When you say with depression, do you mean it lifted the depression?
Yeah, it lifted her mood. She's not a depressed person. But a lot of my friends are creatives and empaths, and we tend to be quite sort of probably bipolar-y. You know, we're up and down. You know, we're a type, aren't we? We're a type. Wee.
Yeah, it's up and down. So for me, with my teaching is I'm teaching women how to not rely on synthetic hormones and to do it with a more natural way. So with the synthetic hormones, from my personal experience with my clients who've gone on HRT, it's had a really negative effect and they've actually started to grow cysts in their groin area and they've developed lumps. So this is why I'm now teaching women how to not rely on HRT because of my experience with my clients who took the choice of HRT because what it's to do with, it's like I've done so many videos on this recently, it's about the estrogen being too high already in a woman's body. So when they're getting that HRT, they're putting more estrogen into their body and therefore it's having a negative effect because not every woman is the same. And this is what's happening now. It's every woman should go on HRT, but every woman is different. So it's going to have a different effect on each other. So what the cause of depression usually is actually more to do with progesterone than estrogen itself. So from what I know with HRT is you're getting synthetic estrogen as well as synthetic progestins. It's not progesterone, it's progestin. So progesterone is natural, progestin is synthetic, so there is a difference. But that progestin can help to stop the symptom of the depression, which is why some women who go on the HRT feel better by being on HRT. But then, of course, it's not working for other women too.
Right. Okay. So, what are your? I didn't even know what all the symptoms were of menopause. This is how ignorant I am about
I
it.
didn't either.
And in back in the day, I mean, it's 20 years since I went through the menopause or I stopped having periods. And I know that in my day, we didn't, I mean, I wasn't a moon cycle woman. I just hated periods. I went on that bloody Marina coil
Yeah.
in the 80s, and it was a new thing. And it was like, oh my God, this has just saved my life. I never had a period again. And then I took it out after about 10 years, I think, because I thought I was getting into really natural stuff. And I took it out. I had it taken out. And then I guess I just sort of went through the menopause. It was just a very smooth transition, but I was highly stressed at the time. Would that be to do with genetics? I mean, does it run in families? Sorry if these are ignorant questions, but I literally know nothing about menopause.
Yeah, so from my experience, I've obviously asked my own mum, like, what did she go through? So my mum says she did not go through any menopause symptoms. Apparently, my nana didn't go through any menopause symptoms, and my great nana did not go through any menopause symptoms. However, my sister has gone through menopause and she's had symptoms. So
Right.
it's more about your lifestyle. Yes, genetics can pull a trigger, but it's not genetics that make you develop the symptoms. It's our diet, it's our lifestyle, it's our environment, and it's also stress. So there's factors that contribute to the symptoms, and this is what I'm teaching women how to reverse the symptoms. So it's not life threatening, having a hot sweat. It's just uncomfortable. And then because some women they can't sleep through the night because it's so hot and it's like it's affecting their sleep. So obviously that's going to affect your mood the next day. And then you end up wanting to eat more food as well because you're so tired.
Yeah.
And it's just this knock-on effect.
Yeah. Yeah. I do remember the only symptoms I did actually have were 60-second hot flushes. And I had them for about 6 months, maybe twice a week.
Yeah.
And to imagine having that over and over constantly in the night, I mean, it must be pretty grueling for so many women to go through those symptoms. Now, what I've been thinking about just since sort of last night, thinking I'm going to be talking to you today, I was just thinking that I'm really into mind, body, spirit, health, and I've been on this journey for 20 years or so. 35 years actually of the mind, body, spirit journey. And of course, what we know now about epigenetics and the mind and everything else is that, it is about the environment, isn't it? And that no matter whether you call it whatever label you give something, and I'm talking a disease here, whatever label you give it, it's all coming from a root issue, which is very often inflammation in the body. I mean, is there a link between inflammation and going through bad menopause?
Absolutely. Everything I teach is rooted from chronic inflammation. You have chronic inflammation in your body, you have too many toxins in your body. You've got to eliminate the toxins out of your body. And by doing that, then you can help to reverse the symptoms along with a healthy diet and that stress management as well, because stress is a trigger because cortisol raises estrogen as well, and estrogen can cause a lot of the symptoms of depression. So there's a link with all the hormones going on because of environmental toxicity.
Yeah, that makes sense actually. And I guess a lot of people, I mean, I think for me, like I had what my dad had. I got ulcerative colitis just after around the same time I went through the menopause. My body decided to have ulcerative colitis. And my mother died as well when I was 43. So there was a lot going on at that time.
Yeah.
And I started really getting into green juices and all of that stuff. And started taking supplements. I was with a partner who was very into supplements. And although I was smoking, I was taking a lot of supplements and stuff. But it wasn't till I got into my 50s that I thought I've got to make a radical lifestyle change here, because I'm eating too much sugar. I'm not as healthy as I want to be. I keep getting these flare-ups of ulcerative colitis, although I can't say it. I've been put on medication for life. And I made a choice at the age of 49 that I was going to radically change my lifestyle. And I did. And I travelled and I left my teachers working in the studio. And it was like the most important thing in my life was to be healthy.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of women don't have, well, I say that's not true, is it? How much do you teach mindset? Because I was about to say a lot of women don't have that choice, but actually we do. We do have choice.
We do, yeah. It is. It's all about the mindset. It's how much do you want it? If you really, really want something, like I had an autoimmune disease and I had to learn how to repair my own body, I had to go through that journey. I wanted it. I wanted it so bad that health became my only priority in life, and that I wouldn't stop until I actually achieved what I wanted to achieve. And at 43 now, I'm still going. I'm like, no, I'm still not where I want to be. I want to be even healthier than I am today, because it's everything to me. I don't want to have these symptoms. I don't want to have a chronic illness. And it's getting into that head space. Yeah, I'm surrounded by unhealthy food. I'm aware of what's in the supermarkets. I don't want to put that into my body. I respect and love myself enough now to not, because I used to binge eat as well when I was younger. I used to binge on sugar. I had all of that. And I just didn't want that for myself anymore.
And actually, I tingled when you said that you'd had an autoimmune disease and that you wanted health for you. That really brings tingles, because I think, those of us who are teaching this stuff have had our own journeys, and we know that passion required for this intention to live a healthy life. And I'm just noticing that word passion, because I know one of the symptoms is vaginal dryness.
Yeah.
And for me, although I haven't had a partner for over 10 years, I'm very activated with my Shakti. I make sure, for me, it's a practice, the same as my press-ups or my green juices, is that my sexual health is vital. My Shakti, my Kundalini, and that energy is contagious when you activate it. So do you ever talk about the sexual energy, or are you more the sort of practical side of, I mean, what about sexual health?
I did talk about this. I did a video on vaginal dryness.
Oh, did you? I'll put the link below then.
I wasn't teaching it from the same way that you are. I was teaching women what they can take, because women are experiencing this, and a supplement that can help them if they are going through that. Because I think it is a really important part of life is the sexual energy and having that still. And hopefully for the rest of your life.
You said still. Do you know, Dani, when I was in Bali, the last guy I had sex with, getting very personal here, was a guy that I was dating in Bali. We were living together in the jungle. It was very romantic. And I was obviously post-menopause. And when I had my first O, he said, because he was a lot younger than me, he said, I didn't know you could still do that after menopause. And I was like, really? And I thought,
Wow.
my God. I mean, okay, this was an Indonesian guy. And I started talking to people and I was actually shocked. I mean, I'm going back, 10 years. It's not something I talk about much at the moment. But I was really shocked at how so many people are programmed to believe that postmenopausal women don't have, I know you can't say these words ridiculously. I just found out the other day where the word, the Kunte tribe of women, where the word comes from. I mean, this is all part of putting down the feminine, isn't it? Putting down women, the old hag and all
I
of
didn't
that.
even know that was a thing. Like saying that women don't over a certain age. Like, I'm like, no, that ain't true.
It's not true, but I reckon it's not just in Bali, the Balinese guys or the Indonesian guys. It has been a thing, maybe not so much now, although when I've done women's workshops and I've worked with women in their 30s, the shame around sexuality and even talking about it is very much still there. It's very much still there in our society. So I'm just wondering, I'm curious to know, what the link is with the programming of the shame around sex don't think you're even allowed to say this now. I'll probably have this video taken down now. I'll have to get my son to bleep out that word, that naughty word. But this is what I'm saying. It's like the whole way the mindset and how we've been programmed around it. There's got to be a link with that and the dryness, hasn't there? There's got to be, because I'm probably taking you slightly out of your realms, but I'm fascinated.
I'm glad you mentioned that though, because I didn't know that was a thing. Like, I just presumed, everyone was still, like, regardless of how old you are. Like,
there you go. Then you see, it helps to talk to a lady who's 62.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing. Like,
but I don't know many women.
Who wants to lose that?
Exactly. I don't know many women my age who I could even have this conversation with. To be fair. It's really for me I see it as a big issue in our society. I really do. And so I just wonder how much that, because one of my passions is to ignite that in women, ignite that energy,
It's important to me. Like, it's something I'm very passionate about, my own self. Like, I'm a very passionate person in life as well as in a relationship. It's important.
And it's the same place. It's the same place, It's like yoga on the mat, how you are on the mat, as you know, is how you are in life, how you approach life.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating, isn't it? So what do you recommend? I will put a link for your video. What do you recommend for the dryness?
There's a supplement, I don't know if you've heard, sea buckthorn.
No.
Yeah. So it's really high in vitamin C, but there's lots of studies around it that can also help with menopausal symptoms, so not just the dryness, but also some women say they have UTIs as well around the premenopause and obviously younger years as well, so it helps with UTIs. Okay. But it is supposed to help with the dry. I take it every day because it's supposed to regenerate your stem cells, so it helps to increase longevity and keeps you more youthful. So they say.
Give me some of that. I'll have some of that. I asked a question in my Beautiful You group this morning, very late notice because life's been a bit manic the last few weeks. But I just said, any questions you'd like me to ask Dani? And one of the questions here, and it's a bit of a common theme. I believe it's nature's way for us to slow down. I've not opted for HRT. However, I've gained weight. What can I do? That weight is a biggie.
It is a big one. It is for a lot of women. And it was for me as well, because when I had radioactive iodine, which destroyed my thyroid, and with the thyroid not there anymore working, because I depend on medication now, I went from a size 8 up to a size 16 when I was only 19 years old. So for me, that was the worst thing, because I'd always been a very slim person. I loved fashion and I was all into that. And then because I put so much weight on, I just decided to wear baggy jumpers and, everything just to cover myself up. Yeah. And just, then I lost that self-love, which is when I started to binge on food. So the
You've
reason
had a
why
great training, haven't you? You've had a great training for what you do.
yeah,
Yeah.
the thyroid is really responsible for the metabolism. So when you have low thyroid, and many women have low thyroid, even though you may have gone for a test, the NHS don't test it properly because they only test two, which is TSH. Sometimes it is just TSH. I had a lady that said the other day she just went for TSH, which is not a thyroid hormone, and the T4. So you're not getting an accurate reading of how your thyroid is.
No.
When you have a low thyroid, your metabolism slows down, so therefore you are more likely to put weight on. So we've got to increase foods in the diet that can help with your thyroid. Then the other problem is cortisol. When your cortisol levels are too high, that can also store fat. Usually it's around the belly area where women carry it as well. And then in a lot of women, it's also the estrogen. So there's 3 hormones there that can be making you carry that excess weight. My issue is estrogen now. I'm estrogen dominant. And even though I'm now a size 8, I still have that excess estrogen, which I'm working still on today to get out of my body. I don't have any symptoms, but I still carry that excess little bit of fat around my belly, even though I'm like so strong.
How can we have an estrogen test? Because somebody very close to me has just been in hospital and it's been extremely traumatic. For anyone who started following my Beautiful You podcast, I did say I've got an interview out every Tuesday. And unfortunately, I couldn't do last Tuesday because I was actually sleeping on a hospital floor with a loved one who was very ill. But at one point, my friend who's a naturopath in Harley Street, she said get her to have her thyroid checked, and she said those things you just said, TS whatever it was, they don't test for what is needed so often they don't test for what is needed. Now I've forgotten what I was going to say. I did the big backstory. You were talking about about thyroid. So that's what I was going to say. How can you go to your doctors and say, can you ask for an estrogen test and find out?
They probably won't do it because I had an issue with my doctor recently, and I sent a letter. Exactly. I sent a letter of complaint to them last week, and I have not heard back from them. I haven't heard anything because I depend on thyroid medication to keep me alive now because they took my thyroid away from me.
Oh wow!
And every so often they forget to send me my medication, and so I've pulled that up with them. But then they ordered me to go for a blood test, and I said to the doctor, I'm not going for a blood test unless you test me properly. And then I sent him a letter with every single test that I want from all of the thyroid to the antibodies as well for autoimmune, because that's what I had. And I've not heard anything back from the doctor. Nothing.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
So you can ask them, but you might not hear anything.
Yeah. And often they don't actually know. They don't know, because I know what my friend tests people for. The doctors don't even have access to, they don't seem to know this stuff,
Yeah.
It's quite frightening, isn't it, really? And so what foods do you recommend for thyroid? Do you get people do you take iodine?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, because I know that that's really powerful, isn't it? Iodine's really good for thyroid.
It's not just the thyroid, it's for your breasts. So
the breasts.
The breasts have the iodine receptors on them. So a lot of women who are getting breast cancer today, they don't have enough iodine on their breasts. And the reason for this is because, so you have a low thyroid anyways, your thyroid's going to steal the iodine first because the thyroid is the priority, which means your breasts get nothing. And then because the receptors are on the end of the breast, what else likes to go on the receptors? Things like fluoride. Fluoride will go onto the breasts. Other heavy metals can land on there as well.
Wow.
And then this is where you start to develop, like in your lymph nodes, it can be cancerous because there's no iodine where it needs to be. So it's also iodines in the cells. It's also in your ovaries. I've just recently been asked to, I've got a client with ovarian cancer. So your ovaries depend on iodine as well. So iodine's not just the thyroid.
Wow.
There's receptors all over your body that need iodine, including men. One of them is the prostate. So it's not just females.
And what foods do you recommend for iodine? Is that all your You
It's all your seaweeds
yeah.
and things, which I know, like I'm not a seaweed fan myself. I'll only eat there's the itsu one. You
Yeah.
can get the flakes as well.
Yeah.
Kelp's supposed to be the highest source of iodine, the best one. So you can get the kelp flakes. But it's obviously it's got that fishy taste to it, which is what I don't like.
Yeah.
So I've got the iodine in a liquid tincture from the Blue Galls that I take every day. You can also get sea moss, which I really like in smoothies. That's high in, I think it's 92 minerals out of all the minerals the body needs. And the other foods are, you actually need zinc and selenium. Selenium's really important for the thyroid.
Yeah. I've just run out of selenium. I take about 100, I take about 50 supplements a day. They're so bloody expensive. Especially when you want to buy good quality ones. I mean, I need a second mortgage for my supplements.
Yeah, I do.
What do you think about keto? Because I've really, the last 4 or 5 years, I've really shifted my focus to low carb. What are your thoughts on diet and menopause, for example?
The diet thing's it's really tricky because I think every person is going to be very unique. So I've got a recipe book that is plant-based, but the reason it's plant-based is because we all need to eat fruit and vegetables, regardless of whether you're eating animal products or, whatever else. Those fruits and vegetables have to be a staple in the diet because you need the antioxidants to fight off such things as cancer. But then when you've got your gut microbiome, the gut microbiome depends on fiber. So your good bacteria depends on prebiotic fiber to feed, which then builds a healthy immune system. It builds a healthy gut. When you have the healthy root, you have a healthy body. So you've got to have that fruit and veg for health. But you also have to have the healthy fats because without healthy fats, you can't make hormones because hormones depend on cholesterol. Where does cholesterol come from? There's pregnenolone, which is a hormone at the top, and you need to have cholesterol makes pregnenolone. Pregnenolone makes progesterone, which is a major hormone in the female body, which keeps us youthful.
Woo!
So it's good for the libido.
Interesting.
So you have to have all those healthy fats, like your coconut oil, avocados, all of the good ones.
I tell you, that's the biggest thing that's shifted in my lifetime around food is the whole myth around fat and cholesterol.
Yeah.
The myth, in the 70s and 80s, all the low fat yogurts and low fat this and that. It's like, oh God, it's cringeworthy, isn't it? To think what we've been programmed with is just insane, absolutely insane. And I think for me, I can only refer to me, is that I've noticed how I've sort of I reversed the aging process because I was so stressed in my 30s. I really did look like I was in my 50s. And I've lost weight as well because somehow it's this thing coming back to lifestyle and balance. And, for me, high fat shifted everything. I also was a sugar addict.
Yeah.
And the high fat thing for me is like to actually feel slim. And I do feel very good about my body. And to eat virtually whatever I want in terms of I'm not talking carbs, I'm talking about fat. I can eat till I'm completely satiated. And
that's the thing with healthy fats, because when you've been a sugar addict, when you have fat instead, you're fine. You no longer crave the sugar anymore. You just don't want it because you're full.
Yeah. And your insulin levels don't go up and down. You're just constantly, it's a different type of, it's not even a hunger, it's a different type of hunger. It's not the sort of hunger where your insulin levels have dropped and you're like, give me food now.
Exactly. Yeah, you just want everything in sight.
Is it not natural for a woman to have a little belly?
I mean, we're supposed to, because that's where our ovaries are.
Yeah.
Like all our stuff is in there, and so it's natural. So you see women, I see them in the gym, there's all the young girls in there, and they've got their tight leggings on. I mean, I have as well. But there's this little pot belly that they've got, and I'm like, that there is actually natural. It's natural to have that, because where do you think our organs are?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a really good point, I mean, I was blessed with a fat tummy. My sister always said I'd got tree trunk legs and a big bum. Although big bums are fashionable now, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's another big thing that's shifted in my lifetime is bums, you know, like now it's the thing the bigger the better.
Well, I'm glad because I've got a big butt as well.
No, it's all good. I think it's things have definitely shifted in that department. But it does worry me, you know, when I was a fitness instructor, before I started teaching yoga and Pilates, it was all about, like, I used to eat loads and loads of chocolate. I used to drink, smoke, then go and teach run a music venue, go and teach, go and smoke 30 cigarettes, get pissed, and then be teaching a step class the next morning. My posture was terrible. You know, I had a flat stomach. I had big, good tone in my arms, but my posture was horrific. And I look back and I think, bloody hell, what a journey I've been on to come into this balance. But I think depending on your body type, that's what the point I was making is that, you know, my sister holds her fat in different places to me. We've all got our body type. But I think it's important to let women know that, you know, having a belly, you know, is okay. And of course, as you all know with Pilates, that so many people do their sit-ups badly, so they're actually pushing their belly out. And that can be a result of poor exercise and not proper understanding of core muscles and how to activate the deep abdominals as well. Do you know, I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I'm actually meant to be picking a friend up from Luton Airport, and she lands in about half an hour. I could just talk to you for another hour, Dani. I really could. I never know what I'm going to say when I come onto these interviews. I just love to talk to interesting people, and you are a wealth of knowledge. Is there anything else you'd like to finish up with? Because I'm going to say goodbye. Is there anything else? And I'll put your details below in the comments. What's your next thing? What are you on at the moment? What's your thing?
So I'm busy writing a hormone course that I'm trying to get for online reasons so that everyone all over the world has access to it. I've got a seminar that I'm teaching in January, which is in South Shields, which I've still got spaces left. That's on premenopause and menopause. So those are the things that I'm doing now, which is a lot of work. But,
you're amazing. Yeah. Beautiful you, Dani. You really are amazing. And I love women with passion who are teaching what they just fully believe in. And, you know, it's like your apprenticeship was what you went through as a young woman. And now you're sharing that. So just let me know what you're doing, and I'm happy to promote what you do because I think you're amazing. Beautiful you. Dani Jackson, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please subscribe, like, share. Any woman who would be interested in hearing about this conversation on menopause. Lots of love. Thank you, Dani. Take care.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.